Level 1. The family member nobody remembers until they need something. You are sitting alone in a small apartment eating cold pasta from a plastic container while a cheap microwave hums in the background. Your phone keeps vibrating on the table. At first you think it is spam. Then you open Instagram and see the message that changed everything. A Forbes article just named your distant cousin the youngest billionaire in tech. Yesterday nobody cared who you were. Today old classmates are asking to catch up. Random people on LinkedIn suddenly want business advice. A guy you barely knew in college sends a voice note asking if you can connect him with investors. Even your uncle, who forgot your birthday 3 years in a row, now talks to you like you are important. The strange part is that your life has not changed at all. You still drive the same old car with the broken air conditioner. Your rent is still late. Your bank account still makes you nervous every Sunday night. But people look at you differently now because they think billionaire money is somehow close enough to touch through you. And that is the thing about billionaire wealth. It changes gravity around everyone near it. This is not really a story about luxury. It is a story about proximity to power. Because the closer people get to billionaire money, the stranger their lives become. Relationships change. Trust becomes harder. Status becomes confusing. Every room starts to feel invisible and political at the same time. So what actually happens to the people orbiting billionaire families? Well, it depends on how close you are to the center. You work a normal office job in a building with bad coffee and flickering lights in the parking garage. Your biggest money problem is whether you should finally replace the tires on your car before winter comes. Most days, nobody notices you. You are just another middle-class person trying to survive expensive groceries and rising rent. Then the internet finds out you are related to a billionaire. Not clothes-related, not private jet-related, just enough for your last name to appear in the same family tree screenshot that starts going viral on TikTok. And suddenly, your entire social world changes. People who ignored your messages for years now reply in seconds. Old classmates start asking to meet for coffee, just to reconnect. Random men with crypto profile pictures flood your DMs talking about once-in-a-lifetime investment opportunities. A distant cousin calls asking if you can help fund his business idea even though your own savings account barely exists. Family events start feeling strange too. Every conversation slowly turns into money. Someone always wants advice. Someone always wants a connection. Someone always wants access to a world you are not even part of. That is the weirdest part. People treat you like you are standing beside a vault full of gold, but your own life still feels painfully normal. Your paycheck still disappears too fast. Your apartment still feels too small. Your stress is still real. But nobody sees that anymore. Because once billionaire money enters the picture, people stop talking to you like a person. They start talking to you like a possible opportunity. You work at the billionaire's company now. The office sits inside a glass tower where the lobby smells like polished marble and expensive perfume. Your badge opens private elevators. You fly business class for conferences. You eat at dinners where executives order wine that costs more than your first paycheck. Sometimes you stop and look around because 10 years ago people like this only existed in movies to you. From the outside, it looks like you made it. But after a while, you start noticing the invisible lines inside the building. Your badge opens most doors, but not all of them. There are private floors where family members meet investors behind closed glass walls. Conversations change the second someone from ownership walks into the room. Executives who speak confidently all day suddenly become careful with every word. Even the CEO acts nervous around the billionaire's children. And slowly, everybody around you becomes political. Promotions are not just about talent anymore. People study relationships like chess moves. One wrong sentence in the wrong meeting can quietly kill your future. Coworkers smile in public but watch each other closely. Every email feels calculated. Every lunch feels strategic. Because inside billionaire systems, usefulness is survival. The company gives you access to a world most people never see. Luxury hotels, private events, powerful rooms filled with powerful people, but none of it actually belongs to you. That is the strange part. You are inside the machine every single day, yet you still feel temporary, replaceable, like the system could remove you tomorrow and continue running without slowing down for even 1 second. And eventually, you realize something nobody says out loud inside those towers. Loyalty only matters for as long as you remain valuable. You knew him before the headlines, before the private jets, before reporters followed him through airports asking questions about markets and politics. Back then, he was just your friend. You played basketball together after school, split cheap meals in college, and talked about business ideas at 2 in the morning like every other broke student trying to become successful one day. Then one of those ideas turned into billions. At first, nothing really changes. He still calls you, still jokes the same way, still remembers old stories nobody else knows. But slowly the friendship begins to feel different in ways that are hard to explain. He pays for dinner every time because the bill means nothing to him now. Vacations happen on private islands instead of crowded beaches. You start sitting courtside at games you once watched from your apartment couch. Your social world upgrades faster than your paycheck ever could. And after a while, you stop knowing how to give anything back. You cannot return the favors because your entire yearly salary disappears beside one weekend of his spending. So you become the friend who receives, the friend who gets invited, the friend who quietly depends on access. That is where the strange feeling begins. People suddenly care about you more than before, but not because of who you are. Every party becomes networking. Every introduction feels loaded. People laugh harder at your jokes when they learn whose number is in your phone. Even strangers treat you carefully because they think being close to you might open a door someday. You tell yourself the friendship is still real, and maybe it is. But late at night, after another dinner you could never afford yourself, a question starts growing quietly in the back of your mind. If the money disappeared tomorrow, would the relationship still feel the same? You grew up in the same house. Same kitchen table, same schools, same parents pushing both of you to work hard. When you were children, nobody could tell which one of you would become famous. You fought over video games, borrowed each other's clothes, and sat side by side in the backseat during long family trips. Then one of you became a billionaire. Now every room feels different. You built a successful company of your own. You employ hundreds of people. You own homes in cities most people only dream about visiting. On paper, your life is incredible, but every article written about you still starts the same way. Sibling of billionaire founder. Your achievements become side notes beside their existence. Interviews drift back to them. Investors ask what they think before asking what you think. Even your parents speak carefully, like they are trying not to compare the two of you while accidentally doing it anyway. And the worst part is that nobody says it directly. It lives quietly underneath everything. At charity events, people crowd around your sibling while you stand nearby smiling politely. At business meetings, people suddenly become more interested when they hear your last name. Friends introduce you to strangers like you are connected to something larger than yourself. You love them. Of course you do. You remember who they were before the headlines and security teams and billion-dollar deals. But their success changes the gravity of the entire family. And slowly, your own identity starts shrinking beside it. Because no matter how much money you make, no matter how successful your life becomes, there is always someone at the table silently measuring your life against theirs. Even at family dinner, nobody talks about the comparison. But everybody feels it. You marry into billionaire life thinking the hardest part will be getting used to the luxury. At first it feels unreal. Private jets waiting on quiet airport runways. Huge estates with staff who know your schedule better than you do. Drivers opening doors before you touch the handle. Security teams standing nearby during vacations that look calm from the outside, but are planned like military operations behind the scenes. For a while, it feels like you stepped inside another world. Then slowly, you realize billionaire life is not really built around comfort. It is built around control. Every movement becomes organized. Every public appearance gets planned in advance. Before charity events, someone discusses what colors you should wear and which reporters might ask difficult questions. Friends are quietly researched before they enter private spaces. Even casual dinners sometimes feel strategic, like relationships are being managed instead of lived. And then come the documents. NDAs, privacy agreements, rules about photos, rules about public comments, rules about protecting the family name. You begin understanding that billionaire families do not just protect money. They protect image, influence, and access. That pressure follows you everywhere. A simple vacation photo can become a political argument online. A small comment at a fundraiser can turn into headlines by morning. People watch everything. The cars, the clothes, the people standing beside you at events. Every choice becomes a statement whether you want it to or not. Your life becomes more luxurious than you ever imagined. But at the same time, it becomes less private than ever before. And eventually, late at night after another carefully managed dinner party, you start realizing something uncomfortable. Even your marriage no longer feels completely personal. Part of it now belongs to the system around the wealth. You never chose this life. You were born into it before you were old enough to understand what money even was. Before you learned multiplication, your last name already carried weight in rooms you had never entered. Adults reacted differently when they heard it. Teachers spoke carefully around your family. Other parents stared a little too long during school events. At first, all of it feels normal because it is the only world you know. Your school looks more like a private resort than a classroom. Students arrive in black SUVs with drivers waiting outside. Birthday parties happen on yachts and ski resorts instead of backyards. Nobody talks about money because everybody has too much of it. But slowly, you begin noticing the things other children have that you do not. Freedom. Security guards follow you almost everywhere. Random trips to the mall become complicated. Sleepovers need approval. New friends are quietly researched before they get too close. Even dating feels strange because you never fully know if someone likes you or likes access to your world. Then the internet gets involved. People online judge your clothes, your vacations, your parties, your entire existence. Thousands of strangers call you spoiled before hearing you speak for even 30 seconds. Every mistake spreads faster because your family name already attracts attention. And hanging over all of it is the pressure. One day you are expected to continue the legacy, continue the image, continue the empire that existed before you were born. Your future starts feeling planned before you even decide who you want to become. You have every resource imaginable, the best schools, the best opportunities, the best connections money can buy. But sometimes, sitting alone in a giant house filled with staff and cameras and expectations, a quiet question starts entering your mind. Without the family name, would anyone choose you at all? You used to think success meant freedom. Big houses, private cars, people listening when you speak, a name that opens doors without asking. But now, you are standing on the other side of it. The door is already open, and you are expected to walk in and take control of everything that was built before you were even ready. The empire is not waiting for your dreams. It is waiting for your decisions. People around you speak in big numbers and serious voices. Investors want answers, not stories. Every meeting feels like a test you cannot fail. Every silence feels like danger. There are weeks where sleep becomes a rumor. 100 hours of work stretches across days that feel the same. Morning and night stop meaning anything. Only pressure remains. And always, the fear sits quietly in the background. What if you destroy everything? What if the name you carry becomes weaker in your hands? You are compared to the one who built it all, the founder, the original strength, the standard you never agreed to but must now match every day. Even your success does not feel like yours. It feels borrowed, temporary, watched. The world sees power when they look at you. They see money, influence, control. But inside, it feels different. Power without freedom is not a gift. It is a weight that does not leave your shoulders. And slowly, you understand the truth no one says out loud. You do not choose the empire. The empire is already choosing your future before you even get the chance to live it. At first, it looks like the highest level of success. The billionaire life, the private jets, the glass towers, the meetings where every word can move millions. From the outside, it looks like freedom with no limits. But inside that world, something different happens. Wealth stops being personal. It becomes a system, a machine that never stops moving, even when you are tired. Every decision is no longer just about you. It is about companies, workers, investors, and families who depend on the outcome. One small mistake can affect millions of lives. One wrong move can shake everything. Slowly, trust becomes rare. People do not come close without a reason. Every smile can hide an agenda. Every handshake can carry pressure. Even family starts to feel different. Not just love, but strategy. Not just care, but position. And the hardest truth is this: you cannot just leave. Because stepping away does not mean walking into peace. It means risk. It means collapse. It means the weight of everything you built falling apart behind you. Reputation also becomes permanent. Once the world sees you as a billionaire, you cannot simply become normal again. The label stays. The expectations stay. The spotlight never turns off. At this level, money stops acting like freedom. It starts acting like responsibility, like pressure, like a quiet kind of isolation that grows stronger over time. Even when you are surrounded by people, you can feel alone in a room full of power. And in the end, the truth becomes clear. The world sees billionaire families as the closest thing to royalty. But inside that empire, most of them are not living freely. They are looking for a way out of a cage that nobody else can see.